Hey, good morning. It's Dr. James. I do hope and pray this message finds you and your loved ones peaceful, thriving, and well. You know, this morning's message, I always take a little time to consider and affirm what I want to talk about. And today, I took a whole lot more energy and time to dedicate myself to really giving this message to you in a way that I'm right here listening to it and receiving it the same way you are. You know, I was thinking a lot about the challenges, the inherent challenges of being on a spiritual path in life these days. I remember 35 plus years ago when I first started really working on myself, when I started really dedicating myself to spiritual practices, you know, meditation was my thing. And, you know, I would knock out a couple of good minutes and I'd be like, woo, awesome. I'd tell my meditation teacher, you know what, I think I got this. And I'm feeling super spiritual. And my meditation teacher said, you know, I think it's too early to tell, my friend. Tap, tap on the head. And was it ever too early to tell? Because here, 35 plus years later, I still find myself failing every single day. How about you? You know, I fail in ways where I'm meditating and I think I'm doing pretty good. And then I'm like, did I leave the stove on? I'm over there thinking about the stove. I scroll social media and I'm trying to look for the goodness, and I see something that pushes all of my buttons, and I want to react. I feel that welling up inside of me, the very unspiritual energy. And then I remember the beautiful part of this practice that you and I are in, the path that we chose to walk on. It is not for the faint of heart right now, is it? Do you find yourself every single day welling up with emotion as you look and see? I mean, look at my eyes. Yeah, I had a good cry before I pushed the start button today. And it was a beautiful cry because I was like just being with myself and saying, you know, James, good for you. Good for you for being so self-aware and feeling what you're feeling, that you give yourself permission to be with it, that you don't deflect it. I spent a good portion of my earlier years deflecting everything because I didn't have the courage to look. I didn't have the strength to feel. I didn't have the wherewithal to think that I had the tools to build a life that was any better than I was presently experiencing. But it's different now. I do believe you and I have all the tools we need to build anything and everything that we desire, in spite of what's happening out there in the world. In fact, it's because of what's happening in the world out there. I think we're realizing more and more the spiritual practice has nothing to do with going away someplace to be spiritual. It has everything to do with going out there in the world every single day of your life and being deeply committed to your spiritual path and practice, like your life depends on it. That is the work of today. And you know what? I'm loving it more than ever, and I find it harder than ever, but I believe more and more that's exactly what is intended. And it's not hard like, oh my gosh, this is such a drag. It's hard because I can't believe how much I want to bring something good in the world. And it has nothing to do with ego. It has everything to do with Source and God, the universe, and you. You and I, committed to each other, saying, hey, we got this. Hey, don't forget how good it is when you are living up to your potential. Don't ever revert. Don't ever go backwards. Don't ever give yourself permission to talk yourself out of your greatness. That is my work these days. Talking myself into my greatness, moving into my spiritual power, standing in my truth, not being good, totally exercising what I believe more and more is my superpower. And this is your superpower if you are willing to receive it. There is a Greek word, it's a kentros, which basically means the eccentric, the beautiful eccentric. And when you unpack that word, you look at the etymology of that word, it simply means that you have consciously decided to leave the pack. You left the collective and you went out there. You went over beyond the right doing and the wrong doing. You stood outside and you said, you know what? Hey, everybody, I'm seeing something that is really cool over here. It's called unconditional love. It's called spirituality. It's called doing the greatest work of your life on yourself so you can be a presentation for the greater good. And you leave the conformity, you leave the group think, because the eccentric who is awake understands that the spiritual practice of being in a place of grace requires that you leave collective consciousness and you think deeply the thoughts that God thinks. You think deeply what the universe is asking of you and I today. And I believe the universe is simply asking us, do not dim your light to make the world more comfortable. Broadcast an uncommon light that is so beautiful, it makes everyone around you beautifully uncomfortable. And they realize there's something greater, there's something more, there's something lighter and loving. And they're drawn to it. And all of a sudden you look out and you see others. You see others doing similar work. That's the spiritual world today, isn't it? I see more and more people catching fire. I see more and more people falling in love with possibility. In spite of what's happening out there, they're doing it in here so they can go back out there and they can be the change they wish to see in the world. It is a beautiful time to fail. It's a beautiful time to be awake. It's a beautiful time to be self-aware enough to realize this is the spiritual life. And it is rich. It is hard in the most beautiful, wonderful way. The contrast is awesome. Revel in it. Be with it. Embrace it. Much love. Every blessing. I'm proud of you. I'm with you. I love you. Bye for now.